I'm Pastor Sylvester Konteh, the pastor of Grace Reformed Church here in the Gambia.
Could you tell us a bit about how you came to faith and also after that how you came to the Reformed faith?
I came to the faith during an evangelistic message that was given to us after a video had been played about hell and heaven. So I went home, pondered over the whole issue. I was guilty, crying, and the next day I came to the pastor and told him to lead me to Christ and to lead me to their church. That was how I came to faith. And of course, I came to the Reformed faith during a time I was waiting as a missionary to be sent into another country for preaching the gospel. During that time, the missionary promise did not come to pass, and so I came across the Grace Charity that supplied me a lot of books to read. During that time, I was reading those books, preparing myself for the missionary adventure, only for me to discover a lot of truths that were very helpful for my spiritual growth and that were contradicting my previous errors of theology. And so they corrected me, and I came in contact with this library. I was reading these books, and Scott McKeever, who was part of the Grace Charity, was the one who mentored me while I was reading the books and giving me feedbacks on my faith.
Okay, and then eventually you went to study via seminary distance learning in the Gambia. How did you find studying for the ministry, distance learning, and in general, how did you find seminary?
It was very helpful. It was very helpful. I thought I shouldn't have even preached a sermon without going to the seminary.
Okay, and could you give us a bit of information about the makeup of the congregation here in terms of numbers, religious backgrounds, etc., age of the congregation?
The congregation is growing tremendously during this past years. We were 20, but now we're going over 60, and we see more families coming into the church. Ages between 3 to 50 years of age and above 50. And this is our 6 to 7 years of doing the church here in Bekama, and it has been very encouraging, seeing a lot of people coming in and desiring to learn, wanting to be reformed in their theology, and that has given me a lot of encouragement.
Okay, what about religious backgrounds? When people come to the congregation, where did they previously worship? What religions were they practicing?
Okay. Most of them are coming from the charismatic Pentecostal churches and the Catholic churches, and very few come from Muslim backgrounds. But these are the major groups that we are seeing coming, into the church. A lot of them are fed up with the excesses of the charismatic and Pentecostal movement, so they are coming in, to be taught and to be equipped for the faith.
About a month ago, you had a convert from, I think it was around a month ago, a Muslim convert. How did that come about?
Yes, we had, of course, 2 Muslim converts now. The one has been baptized. It was through our missionary, Emmanuel Korom, who went to the village. This was a guy I had ministered to, but did not respond. And when Emmanuel went, he ministered to him, and then he came to the church, and now he comes to church every Sunday. There is another one that was ministered to through the families that recently came into the church as a result of their desire to learn about the Reformation. We had to relocate some families into Brikama, and one of those families ministered to a Muslim who decided to come to church and then continues to come to church up to today, and she herself wants to be baptized. By next week, we are doing a baptism.
Okay, what are the challenges, would you say, ministering in Gambia?
The challenges in ministering in Gambia is that, here is 95% Muslims, and Muslims will not compromise their religion for anything. And so that is a huge challenge. And the challenge of poverty, and that also is a huge challenge. And when people come very poor, you have to see that as a church, you try to cater for them, give them employment, give them a startup in business so that they'll be able to do something and to have income for themselves.
Okay. I suppose I was going to ask you what are the encouragements you've had in recent times. You've mentioned recently about a couple of Muslim converts. Is there any other encouragements that you would refer
Yeah,
to?
the growth of the church, and then the men who are coming in for ministry, they want to study about reformation, and some of them are already taking the gospel out by themselves for what they have learned. That is an encouragement as a pastor, because you have now men who are coming in to assist you do the work that you are doing.
Okay, how would you like to see this work develop? Because at the moment, the church worships in a family compound, which is not very visible. I guess that would be one area. I don't want to lead you in your answers, but that's just an example that comes to mind. But how would you say you would like to see the church work here in Gambia develop?
First of all, I want to spread reformation, like Paul will say in Acts chapter 13, verse 47, that God has commanded him to be a light to the Gentiles and to bring salvation to the ends of the earth. That is my vision. And we need a strategic place, to do that. We need somewhere where that is visible to the community, where people will come, and then these trainings will be taking place so that the church will expand. We'll have our own presbytery. We'll have churches, branches of churches in every part of Gambia. We want the gospel to reach every part of this nation with the Reformed theology.
Can you mention a bit about the Pastors' Fellowship, which you have with Pastor Idrissa Kohli in the Presbyterian Church of the Gambia? Just briefly, what is the Pastors' Fellowship? What is Reformation Gambia?
Yeah, Reformation Gambia is to introduce pastors to the doctrines of the Reformation, which is pathetically most pastors, 95% of them, if you say what is Reformation, they will not answer you. They don't know nothing about Reformation. But through this pastors' fellowship, we had people coming in who have not heard about Reformation, and they are studying, getting to know the doctrines, and going back to biblical and historic Christianity, which is very fundamental to the growth of the church in Gambia.
Okay, finally, what would you say? Is there anything you would say to those in Scotland who have a prayerful interest in the work in Gambia?
Yeah, I want to first of all thank them for discipling me and sending me through seminary and giving me all the theological education that I have today. Pray that the word of God, will have a free course in this nation and be glorified, and that we will make disciples to many generations, and that churches will be planted throughout this nation.